We'll take first question on the front here on your left.
Hi, Coach. Aguiar from ESPN Brazil. I want to talk with you about Jayson Tatum. Jayson already scored 50 points in a playoff game, and he's capable of doing that at any time. In the first game, Porzingis said what he did only because of Jayson Tatum. Holiday said the same thing in game two. My question is, do you think that we are watching the best version of Jayson Tatum in these finals?
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. I think because of the type of player that he is, it's always going to look different because of his versatility. And you live in America or Brazil?
I live in Brazil.
Well, that's probably why you asked that question and none of the American ones did, because they look at the lens differently of basketball. And so in America, nothing's ever good enough, and it's always about what can you do for me right now. And it's not always the case in this situation. So, yes, I think we are, and I think he's only going to get better. And he makes greatness look easy because of his ability to impact the game in many different ways. And he's just going to continue to get better and better and better. And it's an honor to coach him.
Standing on your right, Tim.
A couple things, Joe.
Do you like that one?
I did like that one a lot. Yeah, I smiled. I look at the game, I think, in a decent way.
Yeah.
You guys just put out a very long release about Kristaps, who has this issue with his left leg. He also looked like he tweaked his right leg. I saw him walking in before. I know he's listed as day-to-day.
Yeah.
Sort of what is the procedure for the next 24 hours? Is he just getting treatment and you'll see where he's at as of tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, he's doing anything and everything he can to be ready for the game tomorrow. It's a serious injury, and at the end of the day, our team and the medical team is not going to put him in any bad situations. And so we've taken a decision to play out of his hands because the importance of him. And so he's going to do everything he can to play, and then we're going to leave it up to our medical team. And that's really it.
And separately, Jalen has talked a lot this year about the pride he's put into playing at the defensive end and taking on big challenges throughout the season. He's obviously guarded a lot of the elite guys. He spent a lot of time on Luka in this series. His teammates have talked about the way he's approached that. How have you seen him over the past couple of years really grow at that end of the court, and how important is it for you guys to have him covering, picking up Luka 90 feet from the basket, trying to wear his energy out, and then still being able to give you a lot at the other end?
Yeah, listen, I think the growth of him as a player has been like not being defined by one thing. And, when you have your superstar players know what it takes to win, and they're willing to take that on. So sometimes it's scoring, sometimes it's defense, sometimes it's rebounding, sometimes it's passing, sometimes it's executing. And I think one of the major growths of Jalen's game is he'll do whatever it takes to win. And that could change each game, that could change each series, and he's doing that. Hi.
Hi, Coach. A two-part question. Sunday's Father's Day. What would your dad say to you 2 games away from winning a championship as a head coach? 1, and then 2, talk a little bit about how your faith has guided you throughout these past couple of years and how you lean on it to coach.
What he would say? He would say focus on the details, focus on the fundamentals. The closer you are to winning, the easier it is to become distracted by things that you can't control and things that don't matter. And here are the things that matter, and you got to fight like hell to accomplish those things with simplicity, with discipline, and mental toughness. Everything he talked about was about your mindset and about your mental toughness, and that's what separates you. And thank you for asking the second question. I think it's the most important thing. I think the ability to handle the ebbs and flows, the humility to understand that there's a plan that's much bigger than just who you are individually, and having an impact on other people, and then using the gifts that God has given you to try to impact those people. So it's my anchor, and it's been the most important thing, and I've enjoyed just the challenge of having to stick with that, and even when it's difficult at times.
Standing on your left, Tim.
Joe, Kyrie obviously hasn't scored with the efficiency that we're used to seeing from him. When you look at the job that you guys have done defensively against him, how do you evaluate that?
I think he's missed some easy shots. I think, I expect him obviously to be even more aggressive and to fight to get those shots. The most important thing is just being detailed in your individual defense. It's not about shutting him down. It's about just making it difficult for him because of his ability to impact plays. And so we just have to fight for that. He's gotten some good looks. I think we have to guard him better. I think, he's definitely going to be more aggressive. We got to be better in our individual defense. We got to be better in our team defense. We got to be better in our details.
Left side on the aisle, fifth.
Joe over here. I was curious about, when you watch players from afar and then you actually get them in your midst. So what have you learned and enjoyed the most about Drew Holiday that you saw from afar, and now that you have him with you, like what have you found out even more about him?
I'd say the biggest thing is like when you get someone and you realize that everything everybody says about him is true. That's probably one of the ultimate compliments that you can get, is like your character is what it is. It's what you say that it is. It's what other people say that it is. It's people that have noticed things. So I'd say that, like, everything everyone said about him when we first got him, it's been even better. And just the type of person that he is, his humility, his competitive nature, the way he treats his family, the way he treats his teammates, how hard he plays, and just his willingness to do everything.
Bobby on your right.
Bobby Manning, CLNS Media. Joe, did you see what happened when Kristaps got hurt in that second half, and what was the kind of the communication like with him over the last day here? You said he wants to be out there, he wants to push the play, but it can be out of his hands. What's kind of that communication like with him over the last day here?
Yeah, I didn't see it, and it is out of his hands. Yeah, it's his job to fight like hell to put himself in the best possible position to feel as good as he can, but we're not going to let him compromise himself, and so that's really been it. It's just to say, hey, like, we need you. Do everything you can, but at the end of the day, we got your back, and we're going to make sure we put you in the best position possible.
How likely is it that he'll go tomorrow?
I have no idea.
Sirat on the left side, and then Gary, last two.
Hey, Joe, Sirat Sohi from The Ringer. I've got two for you. The first is, I heard you talk about how you want guys taking certain shots so you guys have good spacing in transition on the other end, and the way you sort of see the game is sometimes being like soccer. I know Tatum sometimes gets criticized for taking, pull-up threes above the break. There was one where it turned into a Drew Holiday rebound. I think it was in the third quarter. Is that sort of an example of what you're looking for in those positions where it's just like take the good shot, don't risk it? And if so, is that like where did that way of seeing the game come from?
Yeah, criticism's the ultimate beauty, and it's just a sign of ultimate respect, and it's just a beautiful thing. So I really love the way Jayson's handled that, and it's just a testament to who he is. And shot selection's all about timing. It just depends on the time and score, depends on the spacing, depends on the type of shot the type of play we ran to get the shot that we want. So nobody knows what's a good shot and what's not, except the people in our locker room, because those are the ones that we talk about every single day, and we know how important shot selection is. And I think the greatest strength of our team is they fight to take the right shot every single time down the floor, and they know what a right shot is, and they know the importance of how the shot will impact your defense and will impact your offense. And so on that particular shot, that was a good shot because we were in offensive rebounding position. The floor was balanced. We had the matchup that we wanted, and it allowed us to do both, to offensive rebound and to get back in transition. Mm-hmm. And I think you just try to learn. You try to look at different lenses. I think everybody tries to look at the game the same way. So the more you can look at it from a completely different spectrum, it allows you to build connections. It allows you to really focus on the things where games are really won and lost, and not on the stuff that's easy to notice. I think everyone notices the easy things. It's can you fight to notice the things that other people aren't, because that's where winning and losing is in that space.
And the other thing is Sam Hauser said that he noticed that you kind of like you've cited, I think, killer whales and how they handle their prey. And you've also said that orcas are your favorite animal. I'm wondering if you could elaborate on how that
you just try to use different things to keep the guys engaged. It's a long year. If you keep talking to them about game plans, it can get stagnant. And so you just try to build connections. You just figure out what's one thing that can just grab the guy's attention for an extra 10 seconds, something outside of basketball that you think can just hammer home a point. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, is just making sure you get through to your guys so they listen.
Gary, last question in the middle.
Joe, Gary Walsh, Boston Globe. What kind of bond have you established with Drew? You guys are more like peers, close to the same age, and the sharing of faith. I mean, what have you learned from him this year, and what did you not? You had any relationship with all before he got here, and what have you how have you bonded with him?
Yeah, I try to be like peers with all of our guys, just because the age gap is relatively there, so I try to have a peer-like relationship with all of them. And then with each guy, it's different because you can break down different barriers. Who's married, who has kids, whose faith is important. Sometimes it's not for people, so you connect differently. I've always had an interesting relationship with Drew because we share the same app, Hallow app, and before I met him, he was actually on there, and so I would listen to his prayers. I would listen to I got to know his heart, and then I coached him in the All-Star game, and so I always had this spiritual connection that we would end up in the same area at some point. So I kind of felt like I knew him before I knew him, just because of the way he prays and how he I knew his heart. So. And then our relationship now is sometimes we talk to each other, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just give a head nod. Sometimes, I see his wife, I give him a hug. He sees my wife, give him a hug, and, that's it.
Thank you, Coach.
Hey, I got a question. Who do you think had the hardest adjustment to the media and the criticism? Because, like, the lens with which Brazilian soccer players are looked at is very similar to how American athletes are looked at by their media, right? And you look at where Neymar has been over his time and, like, taking on the number 10 and the number 9. Like, who do you think has dealt with the most, and how do you think that they've handled it? Because I feel like playing for the Celtics and representing the country of Brazil for its national soccer team, and then now you see Enric coming up, and, like, he's going to face that soon. So, like, how do you think that's handled in your country?
You're talking about football, okay?
Yeah.
I just want to see if I got you right. I think Neymar has handled the most pressure lately, but because we had a lack of idols most recently. If we were back in 2002, we had Ronaldo, we had Ronaldinho, we had Rivaldo, we had a great national team, and this talent has went down for the years. And Neymar has surged like a huge talent.
Yes.
And we put a lot of expectations in him that he can deliver to us another World Cup. Yeah. So I don't think it's pretty fair to him what we did.
I agree. I would say the same thing for Tatum.
Yeah.
It's like, also, like, he's probably the first number 10 to take on the weight of Brazil since the social media era. Like, right? Like, that was like who before Neymar was involved in that social media area. And it's like, he's so good, everything you do can be taken for granted. Like, when he won the gold medal by making the game-winning penalty kick, you would have thought that would have solidified it, but it hasn't, right? So, like, I think that's you ask an interesting question, because I think the guys that we're around share in that same burden of having to handle, the responsibility that they have to move it forward for what they do. And it's an ultimate gift, but I agree that it's probably Neymar, right?
Yeah. Most recently, yes.
Yeah.
And I have a particular opinion about, but I have to see the general thing about it, about Neymar.
Yeah.
Because I don't agree of a lot of his actions outside the field.
I don't know him. All I know is the soccer player.
Yeah. So if we just focus in the soccer player, and I don't think that's fair.
Don't get me into the coaches. I mean, don't get me into the football coaches, right? I mean, that's like an impossible job.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's a huge country. We love football. We love soccer, and it's our sport. We were always good at. So it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And most recently, the results were so badly that the pressure is just rising.
Yeah, you got to study. I mean, I study that a lot because I think we're in a similar environment here as to how to handle all of that,
The Boston Celtics probably is just, for the basketball, it's just that great as Brazil as a national soccer team. So it's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And I know you love soccer.
Yes.
And I know you like Guardiola.
Yeah.
And I know you stole some things from his thoughts.
Yeah, none of us are that good. We steal from everybody.
Thank you, Coach.